and welcome to week 5 of the Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach Mastermind group. So I can't thank enough the leaders that we have on this call. We just, when I look at we've got Bill Hart, we've got Cindy, we've got Dave Gallegos, we've got Todd Bookspan. Thank you for helping lead and facilitate this project at Mortgage Coach. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Right on. So Todd Bookspan is going to be the lead facilitator out of the, call it the coaches and mentors on the call, all of who have gone through this program and studied Darren's content. On the attendee list, we've just got amazing mortgage professionals. I mean, I'm looking at the list and I see some of the absolute most successful loan officers ever to do this business. And then I see some new names and some people that are, fairly new to the business. So it's a really neat and eclectic group of mortgage professionals. I will unmute you all in just a second. Couple things to set the table. I would love it if folks would engage on Facebook. And I asked, what is your focus? Or, excuse me, what was your favorite quote or takeaway from Module 5? We are also going to be posting in a minute, how do you define success for anybody that wants to comment on that. Also, and I'm going to close with this, but I'm going to be interviewing Darren live next Wednesday, I think at 10 o'clock. And while I have a lot of spectacular questions to ask him, and it's going to be a great interview, I would love to have more. And I would just say anybody on this group that submits a question, it'll be at the top of the list. Danny submitted a question that's probably, if it's not my absolute favorite, it's among my 2 or 3 favorite questions I'll be asking Darren. So, Danny, thanks for the transparency on that. Really spectacular question. And folks, join the party. Let's not have Danny be the only one from this special group that submits a question. So, with that said, I'm going to try to unmute everybody. If we get feedback, we're going to have to remute you. Marcy, if you could also help me with this. So, I hear some background from someone. So here's the deal, guys. We will be muting you if you're causing feedback. Please control the mute on your side. Danny, how are you doing, buddy? Are you there, Danny?
Good morning, everybody.
Good. It's good to have you. Ryan Kiefer, how are you, my friend? Ryan, it looks like you're muted on your side. Hey, Ryan. I unmuted you.
Hey, I'm here. How are you?
Good. How you liking the session so far?
Oh, loving it.
Good. Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Good to have you.
Thank
Adam,
you.
Adam, how you doing? All right. Either Adam, you can't talk, or you're muted. And then Stephen Mix. Stephen, how are you doing today? All right. Well, we kind of know who can talk and who can't. So, by the way, some of you, we had to actually mute you because we were getting feedback from you. So we will try to unmute you. If you have a question, you can raise your hand in the GoToMeeting control panel. So if you want to either just provide a comment or ask a question, raise your hand, and we'll do our best to unmute you. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Coach Todd Bookspan to really lead and take the lead role or lead facilitator of today's mastermind.
Call with everybody. I think I love the fact that Dave's already kind of taken role. I would certainly encourage any of you who are having troubles connecting with your microphone on your computer to dial in. For me personally, that always seems to be the best and clearest connection, and certainly the more of you that talk, the more enjoyable this call will be for all of us. I think that that's always going to be the key of any mastermind, is the more varied opinions that we can get from different folks, whether that's a question or whether that's a contribution or a success or failure experience. That'll be super helpful for us. We're going to spend today a little bit talking about Module 4, just a quick review of that, and then we'll jump right into Module 5. And I know that there's a lot of you who may only be on Module 2 or 3, and don't be worried. I don't think we're spoiling anything for you. I think what you'll be able to do is learn from the others who have been through it and go through it. I know there's some people on here, like I've seen Anna now in online. I think she's a insane productivity super user, so we're going to have to definitely get some contribution from you guys, from her. I've also love all the rest of you who are all contributing on the Facebook page. That's really great. I think that's a awesome way for us to all continue to interact. So really on Module 4, I entitled it when I took my notes, Be All In. And, I love the fact that Dave wants you guys to interact on Facebook while we're doing this, when this whole thing is based on the fact that you're supposed to single task and multitask. So, of course, I have to give Dave a little bit of a hard time for that. And, of course, I appreciate the picture he posted of me back in my early days as a loan officer, multitasking, which is ironically probably that was actually less multitasking than I used to do back in the day. But I guess I'll throw out my favorite concept from that module, and then I would love some others to maybe jump in with theirs. Darren talked just really briefly about it. He had that concept where he says that you have so much going on that sometimes you have to take what's stressing you out, what's on your plate, and you just have to put it in a box. And he talked about the examples of literally putting clothing in a different closet and stuff in a box, and if you don't use it for 6 months, get rid of it. But I actually heard him tell it differently, where when my wife and I were at the High Performance Forum, something pretty tragic happened to one of my daughter's very best friends right when we got to the event in Florida. And I mentioned it to Darren in the morning because my wife was just having troubles really focusing in and getting ready for that day. And so Darren started off really for her benefit with that concept of, sometimes you got a lot going on at home or with a different file or with something in your life, and you just have to put that in a box. And he says, imagine you literally just take that idea or whatever that stress is, you put it in a box, you close up that box, maybe you put some tape on it, maybe you don't, and then he said you just have to go in your closet and find a spot up on one of those shelves where you can just deposit that box, and then later on, once you're done with whatever it is you're doing now, then you can pull that box down and you can worry about it. And so I love that concept because it personally, I saw it change my wife that day. So it's a concept that I teach all the time as I see loan officers who have a really terrible file going on or something crazy at home going on, but they've got to actually be able to focus on whatever the task is at hand and whatever that client, the client that's there right then needs to be to look at. So that's my big takeaway. How about you guys? Anything to throw in there, Coach Bill Hart? Anything to throw in there, Coach Bill Hart? We lose you?
Yeah, he doesn't look like his mic is synced up with the system yet.
That is crazy. How about you, Cindy Ertman? How about you?
Well, what you were just talking about is, I think, such a big deal. I mean, it's been a really big deal in my life, and what it really reminded me of is, I trained with Jack Canfield, is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul's books, for a year, and one of the things that Jack teaches is E plus R equals O, events plus response equals outcome. And so how we respond to the events in our life have such a big impact on the outcome that, we achieve. And when I really got my arms around that concept and started implementing it into my own life on a daily basis, and certainly in the mortgage industry with how elevated things can get, when a loan goes sideways or somebody gets a declination on a file or someone's in a beef with a processor or an underwriter, I just think that how we respond to the events in our life are so huge because we have such an ability to influence the outcome. And so I was just with a mortgage originator having dinner last night, and we were talking about, I think being right is overrated. And we get so passionately, ingrained in we got to be right because, we know our files and we know how it's supposed to look and we know what the outcome's supposed to be. But I teach people all the time, being right is overrated. Focused on the outcome and what you really need to achieve. And a lot of times it's about letting go of ego, and just driving towards the outcome that we're looking to achieve. And the way we get there, the way we communicate with people, changing our tone, it's such a big deal. So I love what you're talking about and the way you kicked off this call with, being able to really compartmentalize. And, I talk to people a lot about how do we show up. And one of the things I do personally every day, and it's just kind of one of the ways I start my day, is I remind myself every morning before I walk into the office, how do I want to show up today? And that reminder for myself is very helpful because the day gets stressful. People are coming at me all day long with questions and challenges and problems. And how do I want to show up for each person in front of me? And getting, it goes back to getting intentional, about our day and how we respond to life situations and challenges. So great way to kick off.
Love it. Love it. I think that's great. I don't see any other hands up, so it'd certainly be helpful if anyone else wants to jump in to do that. So
hey, Todd.
With that awkward pause. Look, there's Bill Hart. Jump in, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm back. I was muted, and I'm a bonehead. So there you go. That's been resolved. Here's the thing that struck me that I've never heard the story before about Pete Rose. I'm not a huge baseball fan, so I don't really follow. But I love that story about going to war over every pitch, and it reminds me of the book project I'm working on, White Collar Warrior. I've interviewed Navy SEALs and Army Rangers, and every single one of them, as they talk about going through training, has that moment where it's like, I was focused on that obstacle. I was focused on that run to the exclusion of everything else. So not only the compartmentalization of, I'm not worried about the outcome. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm thinking about this thing right now that's in front of me. And that picture in the slide that Darren showed of Pete Rose, it was like, dude, if there's 100% focus visually in somebody's face, it was there. And every great person I know, as I thought about it, I get goosebumps about it. I think, Cindy, you would agree. It's like, man, when you're in it, you are all in it. I know that's true with me in coaching sessions. There was a day, I'm not proud of this, where I would multitask. Like I'd have, social media feeds up in the background, and I thought, yeah, I could do that. No, I can't. No, I can't. I can't be 100% in. So in an industry where we've got some of you out there with 3 and 4 monitors on a desk, and you guys know that you're doing it, what if you took that moment to say, with this borrower, with this underwriter, with this realtor, I am 100% present. How much better, as Cindy says, would you show up?
I love it. I love it. I think that's pretty huge, and it's always interesting because Pete Rose, obviously, some people think he's the greatest hitter ever, and other people think otherwise. But I agree with that. I think that was a great example. Anna, you've got your hand up. I'd love to hear what you have to say, since I know you are the same productivity veteran.
Hardly, but yeah. In fact, I've only completed module 4. I didn't. Somehow I'm 1 week behind. I think it might have been when I missed the first week. So, but from this module, I realized that I've been diagnosed with ADD. So I have acquired attention deficit disorder. I match all of these causes or chronic high stress causes. I'm having short-term memory issues, so people are telling me. Lapses in attentiveness, concentration, communication problems, all of this stuff. So, I think that focusing on one thing at a time is going to be a huge thing for me. So I'm excited to learn that and hear that.
I don't think you're alone in the mortgage industry with ADD. I said it before, but some of you might not have heard it. But Coach Bill Hart was actually my coach for my first coach in the business for 4 years, and someone that I still count on for sage advice. And there was a point, I don't know if Bill remembers it, where he actually sent me some ADD test I had to take, and I was really close. I was like right on the edge, and I claimed I wasn't ADD, but I think that people around me probably would have thought otherwise. And I do think it's that multitasking thing. I mean, it's, the fact that it takes so long to go back and get involved is, once you get interrupted, and it kind of forced me when I got really good at doing what I call on time, and Darren calls jam sessions. It was just a non-negotiable, the post-it notes on the door when I was doing it in my office, just because I found in the end I had what I needed there, and learned to be less distracted. But yeah, that do not disturb sign is important. And I think Bill hit the nail on the head with the number of monitors people have, because in addition to all your monitors, you sometimes you have a laptop as well as your work computer with 2 or 3 monitors, and then you've got your phone. So you actually have way more devices up at any given time. I took a run with my wife this morning. Some of you may have seen my post that my daughter actually noticed, who's 14, that I haven't been on my phone this week driving her to school. And so I've made this super conscious effort of it. And then I laughed this morning because I told the story to my wife. My wife is a HPF graduate. She knows Darren really well. In fact, Darren likes her a lot better than he likes me. And I told her that that's what I was doing. And sure enough, on the, my phone's in my pocket, and I can hear it's vibrating and buzzing with text, and then all of a sudden it's ringing and it's ringing over, and then finally she called my daughter and said, "What's going on? How come Dad's not answering the phone?" She goes, "Well, didn't you? That's not doing that anymore." So part of it too, I think, is training the people around you when you're trying to single task as well, to get kind of other people on board. How about you, Dave Gallegos? Any input on? I know I've got a question already in my mind for you on Module 5, but on Module 4, anything that you wanted to throw in or add that you thought was great?
Well, thanks. I wanted to piggyback on something Cindy said that was really impactful. Being right is overrated. Focus on the outcome. I'd gotten Darren to come to a previous company to do a keynote speaker, be the keynote speaker, and I was able to have dinner with him and about 15 other people. But I'm sitting next to him, so I got to ask him this question. I said, I'm sure you have 10 times more crap coming at you every day than I do. Because, Success Magazine and all the speaking and everything that he's involved in, and I'm just running this little mortgage branch. So when the crap comes at you, how do you manage it? How do you manage that? How do you manage not to get derailed so that you can keep going? And his response really stuck with me because he talked about his father and how his father was a really poor example of how to react to situations, that his dad would sometimes, really overreact, and he didn't want to do that. And then, I don't know if everybody's getting the Darren Daily, but it was a couple of days ago, he talked about, so how long are you going to let that derail you? And he gave me a really good piece of advice. The next time something really big happens to you that you think is just like the end of the world and, oh my God, what am I going to do? He goes, I get out a piece of paper and I write down what happened. And then I write down, okay, so I'm going to do number 1, this, number 2, I'm going to do this, number 3, I'm going to do this, and number 4, it takes all the emotion out of it. And you stop, and I've actually put that into practice. It's a great way to just take those events that are really some of those derailing events. Cindy talked about a loan that gets into suspense or whatever. Those things are big, and those are the kinds of things that emotionally hijack originators all the time. And so it's just, again, it's how you react. And I just thought that was, if you look at someone like Darren and the level of success that he operates at, or then these other people in the world, the Richard Bransons and the Bill Gateses and the Warren Buffetts, like going, how do they got the same number of hours as we do, right? So, and they have crap. They have just crap happens, right? And yet they're living these lives that it just seems like we're managing that energy, managing your own personal level of energy and how you show up. I loved what Cindy said. That was what triggered this idea. And I just wanted to share that because I just thought that was great advice from Darren, and I've tried to put it into practice every day.
Love it. I think that's key. One of the takeaways there that I would always say is that, one of the advantages of having Darren, hiring Darren to come in and speak is just what Dave said, is the ability to have dinner with him. He said with 15 other people. We always leveraged it when he came to town, dinner, invited VIP, referral partners, and then there's that one-on-one time that you get. So certainly, Darren's always into plugging himself, so we'll give him a little plug there. We did that a couple times, and it was truly beneficial, and certainly part of the reason that I consider him a friend today. Anyone else have anything that they want to add? So I'll be okay with the awkward pause for a minute. There's no other hands up. Does anyone else have anything on Module 4 that they'd like to jump in with?
Todd, this is, go ahead.
Oh, this is Cindy. One thing I wanted to share, because when you were talking, Dave, it just sort of jumped back out at me. And this was something that I actually learned when I was coaching with Building Champions, Mr. Hart. But it was something that I had a really significant branch challenge when I was managing our branch, and it literally derailed us. We lost a senior processor to another branch that kind of stole her out from underneath us, and the whole thing around it became so traumatic and left a lot of people without support. And I remember the exercise of when you're in one of the most, one of your biggest challenges, like you were talking about, when you get derailed, is to focus on what you can control and what you can influence and let everything else go. And I come back to that all the time when I'm in a really significant challenge, whether it be business or personal, because we get so caught up in the emotion of the challenge, and it drives so much of our energy. And since Module 5 is really about managing our energy, I think it's appropriate. But to come back to, I put it on paper. you know, what can I control in this situation and what can I influence? And only those categories do I focus on, and I let everything else go. So just wanted to pull that forth because that was definitely something that I learned through my experience with building champions. So it was very valuable.
I love
to
it.
me.
I love it. And I think in the Facebook group, if I'm not wrong, Bill posted a good visual of that maybe sometime last week, so it'd be worth looking back. And I heard another voice, but I wasn't sure who that was. So whoever that was, go ahead and jump on in and follow Cindy.
Yeah, Todd, it's Danny, and actually I'm going to just piggyback right on this and take a concept that I read in Extreme Ownership, which is prioritize and execute, which really follows right in line with the advice from Darren and the Building Champions advice, which is you get in those kind of crisis moments and your brain starts to retreat from solution making and it's focusing on the problem. And if you just calm down and look at what, you know, the actual challenge really is, what can you do to solve it, it can create so much, it's so much a better feeling to know that you actually can influence something instead of just getting your brain kind of hijacked by the event.
Love it. Love it. And I think these are all great things for all of us to be thinking about. And you know, the beauty of what I love about what Dave and Darren have decided to do with Insane Productivity for the mortgage industry is I think it's so much more relevant for all of us when we can actually take a concept and then on these calls we can discuss how does this affect us in our life, right? Cindy losing a critical processor and all these other pieces that, you know, we may or may not be going through or have gone through and how to attack it going forward. So I'd love to shift gears to Module 5. Certainly, as we're going, if you think of something that is quote unquote back to Module 4, don't hesitate. Let's still talk about it. I subtitled Module 5, Start Designing Your Life, which absolutely I think you know, at least for Coach Bill and myself, is something that we walk clients through all of the time. But Dave kind of already threw out there. Dave Savage has already threw out there that question, but I'd love to get Dave Gallegos back on with kind of maybe you can launch us with how you define success, since I know that was something that impacted you out of that module.
Well, and it's I'm the classic, no matter how good I've done, I don't think it's good enough kind of guy, and I think most high achievers are like that. I remember the first time my branch closed over 7.5 million. I think it was sometime in 2009. Over 7 million. I was like, oh my God. And I remember calling my father, who had a lot of business success, and I said, hey, we just had a new record month, and he's like, oh, that's awesome. He goes, record or record July? And I said, no, record, so you can tell that he's the same way, right? And he goes, that's awesome, congratulations. I go, yeah, how come I don't feel better about it? He starts laughing. And he said, well, because you're just like me, you're never satisfied. He goes, it's okay to not be satisfied. And I thought this was some really good advice. I said my father had quite a bit of business success, and he said it's okay not to be satisfied, but don't ever lose track of celebrating those successes, because if you don't, then you're never going to be happy about anything. And I just thought that was some really good advice. And he goes, but just, you know, never be satisfied. And so I think it's okay not to be satisfied, because I don't think that's what this talks about. What this talks about is trying to come up with a definition, which is what I tried to do with my personal definition of success, was to come up with a definition that isn't tied to how much volume we're doing or anything else. And I think I saw Zig Ziglar list of success items in Success Magazine a few months ago, and I remember copying it down because I thought it was really good. One of the last things on there is, like, if you can go home at night and put your head down on the pillow and say that you did the best that you could, and you have a pillow to put your head down onto, your success. And because we take so much for granted in this country, it's so easy not to be grateful for the success that we do have. And I posted on the Facebook page what I came up with as my definition. It's something that I read every morning to remind me that it isn't about how many units. And I have all those goals, so it's not like I'm not going to ever just ignore that. But it's making sure that you remember why. So I just think coming up with that personal definition is a really impactful thing and can bring a lot of. If you haven't taken the time to do it and come up with it and think about it, then I think you're probably doing a lot of what I did, which is, my wife used to say, it's like you're never happy. And that's a terrible thing to hear from your wife. And I have a lot to be happy for. I have healthy kids. I have a healthy wife. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. Everybody's good. Nobody's dealing with any of the potential challenges that the world deals with on a regular basis. And so it's important to remember that stuff. And that's what I took away from it. It was coming up with a new version, a different way to define my personal success, so that I could remember what this is about. It was impactful. It was a really powerful tool, and it doesn't seem like a productivity tool, right? It doesn't seem like how to be more productive. What it does is it helps you focus on the things that are important.
Yeah, well, that's key, right? I mean, there's probably some famous quote that's I'm missing. That's whatever happens or whatever that just probably sounds a lot better than what I just said. Hey, Mr. Savage, how about you? We're approaching the midway point. You've been kind of quiet. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, first of all, this is going fantastic. Thanks for all the collaboration, everyone. I wanted to just shine a light on a few things. So one, Todd, and anybody talking, think of the screen that I'm sharing right now as a whiteboard or a chalkboard, and I can pull things up. So I've, as resources ready to go, I've got our workbook from Module 5, and I have the slides from Module 5. So I'm doing my best to pull those up, but for the folks that are sharing, let me know if you would like me to direct to something up there. Also, I have been taking some notes, and in the chat session of GoToWebinar, I've been writing some takeaways. I think it would be fantastic if, again, we want to avoid multitasking, but for those of you that are taking notes, I sat with Danny last week during this session, and he just took 2 pages of a solid page of copious notes. I don't know, Danny, did you end up getting to a second page on that? Let's see.
Sorry, Dave. I'm here, man. Actually, I have to admit that I was literally somebody opened the door to my office and was talking to me while you were asking me that question. So I'm like literally the poster child for failure in this call.
Well, by the way, that was a perfect setup for my last thought. So, first of all, reminder everybody, I'm here to help facilitate this. So, leaders on the call, let me know if you want me to show something on the screen. And those of you who are students on the call, point directions to me and share it as it comes up. The last thing I wanted to shine a light on is I think the concept of multitasking in the mortgage industry, I mean, it's just something, obviously it's not multitasking, it's switching. But let's face it, we do have to switch. I mean, it's a reality of the business. But the goal, at least my perspective, is it's about having more on time and the moments that matter most, like when you're connecting with someone and you're really getting to know them, to be present and to learn, hey, there's a time for switching. And it sounds like, Danny, you're on this session that, maybe you had an unavoidable switch. I would just ask everybody on the call, while that was, the topic of Chapter 4, I think as leaders in the mortgage space, we need to talk about that every single, week. I also did want to announce to everyone that I have decided to do this, keep this mastermind going throughout the full 12-week program. So when you all signed up for this program, it was supposed to end today, and today was supposed to be the last mastermind event. But we are going to keep this going all 12 weeks. So there you go. There will be some more people joining us because more people that sign up when I do my interview with Darren on Wednesday will also be invited to this. We're not going to go and start at week 1. We're going to continue our rhythm. From my perspective, this is our mastermind, and we will invite other people to join it. There are recordings of every week, but we're just going. With that said, Todd, I'll hand it back to you to continue to facilitate. I just wanted to push everybody to share notes and engage a little bit more.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to hear from Lorraine. You've got your hand up. Jump on in. Oh, I don't see a little microphone by Lorraine's name, but I see your hand up. All right, if you come on back, Lorraine, just jump on in. Oh, there she is.
Yep. Well, good morning, gentlemen and ladies. Yeah. No, I was just asking, the question was, Dave Savage mentioned that he was going to be posting up some visuals on the screen. A lot of us are visual, so just kind of follow, or are we supposed to be on the Facebook to kind of follow along with what we're coaching and sharing with one another here?
Good job. Yeah, thanks. Great question. So I think of what I'm sharing on the screen as, there's a teacher, and I'm trying to keep up with the teacher and make it valuable. In terms of you being on Facebook on your own, yeah, that might be tough. I'll leave that to you, whether or not you want to do that. I would not follow Facebook separately. To me, that's just a place to add notes during the session and to collaborate outside of the session. Does that answer your question, Lorraine?
It does. But right now, presently, do you have something on the screen? Because all I have is the Insane Productivity whiteboard in the back with your arms crossed in the little picture. Is that what we have showing, or I'm missing something?
So, Todd, do you see, I should have Facebook showing up on the screen right now. Is it?
No, I agree with Lorraine. I just see the Insane Productivity Mastermind with Dave Savage showing up. I mean, you're a good-looking guy, so it's okay with me, but...
I thought you know, there's a lesson.
There we go. There we go.
So
there we go. Now I see that.
I have been keeping up with everybody. I've been really proud of myself for the past 30 minutes, and it's just been a private show. So, Lorraine, thank you for getting me to turn on the screen share. That's hilarious.
Thanks.
That's awesome. So, so one of the things I always think about, like I say, I kind of subtitled every one of these modules as I went back through them to prepare content, which you guys will be thrilled to see, maybe not, when the official version rolls out. But when I mentioned, I said start designing your life, but it reminds me of something that Bill Hart, you and I hear all the time from Daniel Harkby, which is that self-leadership precedes team leadership. How would you jump in and kind of add some color to that topic?
On that topic?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we run into it all the time, and Todd, as you know, I spend so much time in and around our Masters Coach events, that group is all about self-leadership. And the fact that we have so many people on the call that are leaders, you have teams, that rings true with you, right? So every single thing that we're talking about in every module actually applies to that. So yeah, man, I find that personally it comes back to that for me. I think Darren unpacks that beautifully in module 5, and that whole, the 4 segments there, right? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, to me were just amazing. And Dave, I answered your question. The one thing that really jumped out at me, not because I have an issue with sleep, I have zero issue with sleep. I can fall asleep at the drop of a hat. I take a 23-minute nap every single day. I sleep 8 hours. I'm in bed at 9. I'm up at 5. I've got sleep nailed. But I'd say 75% of my clients, easily 75% of my clients, are rolling in some kind of sleep deficit. And so I call it the bookends of the day. And for me, that's the place on the self-leadership side, Todd, that just screams at me. In the mortgage industry, I think we have people with, they're ballers, right? They're like all into this mortgage game, but it's like, I'm going to self-sacrifice on sleep so that I can be better at what I do. And as Darren points out, once again, it's like he just keeps knocking these dominoes of lies that we all buy into down, like flat on the ground. Dude, you're not doing it if you're not sleeping. So anyway, that's the one that struck me on the self-leadership side big time. If you're gonna lead, you've got to be able to show up in a focused and energetic way. And it's just an area that I find people push back on. I'd love to hear anybody else's comments on that sleep thing. Anybody out there? Danny, you're fully transparent. How you doing on the sleep thing?
I'm getting better at it. I have little kids though, so I get derailed on that front pretty often. But it's I can tell the difference in my energy and focus during the day, and the comments that people make, like I'll walk into the office and they'll be like, "Oh, you look tired," and they really mean I look like crap and that I'm going to be a real grump that day, and they're all avoiding me. So I know that that's something that definitely makes a difference in my life.
Nice. Yeah.
I'd jump in if anyone wants to dig a little bit deeper on it. I just listened this summer to the Audible version of Arianna Huffington's book, The Sleep Revolution, and the beginning is a little bit long where she's trying to convince you why sleep is important, and there's great examples I think that most of us would know, but when she actually talks about sleep with regards to high performance athletes. And I think maybe even Bill, maybe did you post something on Usain Bolt and his rest online maybe that I saw that was attached to you. But that to me was sort of the biggest aha, was that I always used to think as an athlete that it was that nutrition for me was the missing link, and when I look back on it, I realized it was the lack of sleep, and that's really big. But that's a good audible to put on super fast speed and blow through. All right, Bliss, sorry, you've been kind of quiet. Do you have any great aha?
By the way,
go ahead.
you guys, by the way, I did post a survey question on that. I mean, I'm curious, for Bill to say that 70% of his clients aren't getting enough rest, I find that interesting. So folks, participate if you'd like, but I have posted a poll. You don't necessarily need to answer this during the session here, but I think it would be interesting to find out within this elite group, how are we all doing? I'm with you, Bill. I get plenty of sleep. I don't nap all the time anymore, but I only need 7 hours. 7 hours is enough rest for me. So anyways, I look forward to seeing where everybody else is at on this topic. Todd?
I can tell you, this is Cindy. I need some coaching around this. I fail on this one because personally, I go into a second wind at night, and when the day is finally still and quiet, and it's around 11 o'clock at night, I mean, it's when I get most creative. It's when I write. I do a lot of my Facebook posting at that time of night. I go into planning for the next day, and I can run up to 1 o'clock on a regular basis and very consistently. And like Dave, I need 7 hours sleep is sort of my magic number, but it is one of my biggest challenges and one of the things I'm so focused on, and being very intentional right now about starting incrementally to move, my bedtime back by 30 minutes so that I'm getting to a place where I can have a really restful night's sleep and make it a priority, because my priority is everything else that's going on in my life and not as much about my sleep. But it's a big awareness for me right now. So I've not mastered that skill yet.
Cindy, I can help you out with that real quick. If you go to Michael Hyatt's website, which I sort of treat as like my third Google, right? I go to Google, I go to YouTube, and then I go to Mike Hyatt's site. If you go to Mike Hyatt's site and just do a search for sleep, he's done a lot of research about this. Yeah, and it's the idea of shifting that time, which is part of your natural rhythm right now, shifting it to the early morning where there's just tons of research about that productivity time early in the morning. So I get it. I have had a number of clients who are structured like you, and it's like, why would I give that up? I'm being so productive. But we always have to ask ourselves, at what cost? So if you go to michaelhyatt.com and then search for sleep, he'll probably have 15 blogs on it, but you'll find one that leads specifically to shifting your time to enhance your productivity.
Thank you. I will check that out for sure. And as Mr. because we had a lot of dialogue about this. I had a very famous business Swami come from India that spent 5 days at my house last year, which was extraordinary. And he's a business leader all over the world. Very, very smart guy. But they get up in his ashram in India. Every single person there gets up at 4 a.m. every day, and they write from 4 to 6, and they do their planning. And he has so much science behind the level of, like, our brains are best functioning from 4 to 6. And when he was here for 5 days, I'm like, okay, I just can't join you at 4 a.m. I mean, it's just too early. But it was really interesting getting into conversation about how much more alert our brains are early in the morning, to your point, Bill. So I will definitely check out Michael Hyatt. Thank you.
You got it.
Love it. Love it. Hey, Bliss, I see your hand up. Jump on in.
Bliss, I just unmuted you.
Okay, thanks. So I do okay with sleep, and I'm high energy in the morning. Kind of always been that way. I get into work at the office like 7:30. I feel like I get so much done that first hour and a half before the phones start going and people are, clamoring for attention. Kind of where I struggle is the later afternoon. I've still got things on my to-do list to do, and I've been going 100 miles an hour, and I'm tired. And so some of the things that I've found that affect that is, one, what I eat, because when I'm busy, I tend to, just grab what's convenient and makes me happy, which would have a lot of sugar in it, of course. And so that's probably my biggest struggle is kind of that afternoon. I've still got things to do. I still have time in my work day that I've allotted to work, but I'm just burnt out at that point. Any suggestions from anybody as far as what they do to keep that energy level up throughout the day?
I love the idea of the food piece because I think that is always key, right? Darren says to set yourself up for success and make sure that you've got those healthy snacks. But I would love, Bill Hart, to hear you talk about the 23-minute nap and how that's impacted your energy.
Well, it's huge, and I want to come right back to that. But truly, the blood sugar, and Darren even touches on it, right? That constant blood sugar. If any of you are athletes, you know that that's one of the things that your trainer is going to have you do. Particularly, Todd, you as a cyclist know this, that you're burning so many calories. You've got to stabilize your blood sugar, and so that story, that's the other one I hear a lot. And I'll bet half of my clients at some point, and I'm talking about 13 years of clients, have confessed exactly what you just said to me. I'm in a hurry, I'm running fast, I get something comforting, I pick up a blueberry muffin and a pumpkin spice latte, and it makes me happy, but then I crash, right? So one of the most valuable lessons I learned was from a realtor that I coached years ago, top producing realtor in Valencia, California. Her husband had just died, and she found herself working all the time because it sort of just made her busy, right? And it brought her comfort. We'd started talking about this very issue, and she was gaining weight, and she was lethargic, and it wasn't good. And at College of the Canyons out there by her, I told her to go find somebody in their culinary department where she could find someone who would plan meals for her, shop for her, cook for her, put it in her refrigerator with a yellow sticky on it, right, 350 degrees for 25 minutes or whatever. Plan healthy snacks. So she had Tupperware with vegetables and protein and chicken breasts. And once she got in front of that whole game and started planning her day, like those meals were all pre-planned, she said, look, it might not have been the most exotic, sexy meal that I wanted, but I didn't look at it that way. I viewed it as fuel. So the key is to manage your blood sugar, right? And so the way I do that is not the perfect, helpful way if anybody's ever hung out with me. I try and maximize what's healthy and minimize what's not, but I just eat a lot. I eat small amounts frequently. And so, I'm 6'3", 225. I'm always 6'3", 225. That's just how that works for me. On the 23-minute nap thing, it's very simple, Todd. All I do, because I've just always recognized that really works for me, sometime between 12 and 1 before I work out, so I'm done with my first 8 sessions of the day. I've got Bose noise-canceling headphones. I've set up a sleep station on Pandora. There's sleep music. It's the stuff you hear when you go get massage, right? And I just put that on so I don't hear anything else. My wife could be on the phone next to me. The dog could be barking. I'm out. And I set it for 23 minutes because my goal is 20 minutes of sleep. And invariably, I wake up somewhere between, it cracks Tony up when I tell her this, somewhere between 6 seconds and a minute before the alarm goes off, because I program my body that way. And then like Darren says in this module, once I wake up, I am so much better off. Like I am so ready for my workout. Anyway, that's what works for me.
I love it. I actually tried it a couple times this summer when I was in New York, but my wife made fun of me, so it made it a little more difficult. Didn't have the headphones, so that's a good
the
one.
Key, buddy. You gotta leave the rest of the planet behind. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. So I think those are all great things to be talking about, personal, how to get yourself going. There's another handful of you who I see who are fully engaged but haven't spoken up. I'd love to hear from anyone else on Module 5, if there's any other things in there with regards to that whole idea of your life. I love John Wood said success is a peace of mind. That's a direct result of knowing that you have done your best at becoming the best you are capable of becoming. Anyone else have anything from Module 5 that they can jump in with for us? You got some people on here who I haven't heard from yet, but I'm scared to call on people I don't know and offend anybody.
Hey, Ryan, what about you, Ryan? Any thoughts or comments? I don't see you muted, so can you speak up and share? How about Michelle Town. Michelle, I just unmuted you. Any thoughts or comments? All right. Anybody?
Hey, Dave, I'll jump in again.
Bring it, Danny.
Don't want to be the only one jumping in, but one of the things that fit the cycle of despair that Darren talked about reminded me of something that Tim Brahim had said to me one time. He had asked me what our team's goal was, and I said, we have a goal to get to $1 billion a year in origination, and we're going to try to get there by 2018. And we had a plan and mapped it out. And he just asked me, well, what after that? And I was like, well, I don't know. We're going to do all this stuff. And he's like, well, you think you're going to feel good? I was like, well, I'll probably feel pretty good. But, he's like, well, you want to do more after that? I was like, probably. He's like, Danny, this is a game you're not going to be able to win. You need to figure out a way to make every step on the path a win, or else you're just going to get there and you're going to feel empty. And it literally was just reiterated here perfectly. And I'll admit, when Tim had said it to me, I kind of thought to myself, well, I'm not really worried about that. I'm sure I'll figure it out. But now to hear it kind of reiterated by another, pretty strong authority on success and kind of being at the top of the mountain and having a much better view than I do, it's making me kind of settle down and think, well, how can I make these wins happen so I don't get there and just feel empty and almost in like a post-traumatic stress mode where I have a lack of meaning.
I love it. I love the $1 billion goal too. That's awesome. I think more people should have a huge vision like that.
Yeah, there's a term.
We're doing it, man. It's happening.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, it's always good to have
Hey,
a
David.
Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, David. It's Michelle. It's Michelle. I actually had myself muted. Sorry.
Hey, Michelle.
I love the ideas of Module 5. I haven't finished it. I usually finish them. I just didn't finish it, so I'm just going to call myself out here. But I will tell you something about Module 4, and I keep posting on the Insane Production. I do not multitask right now. I am now at day number 5 of business days where I'm not multitasking, and I literally don't know what to do with myself for 2 hours a night. It's weird.
Michelle, I love to hear that. Coach Bill, I have had more clients tell me that, and it's that weird moment, like you're totally facing it. It's like, what am I supposed to do right now? And I'm going to refer to Mike Hyatt again. Mike talks about those moments, and Cindy, I know you would totally buy into this idea of there need to be moments in our lives where we get quiet, right? So whether that's prayer or meditation, or in that moment of just saying, I'm going to go sit in the backyard and just like listen to nature. That's a gift, Michelle. So well done, well played. And what I would encourage you to think about is, Darren challenges us in this Module 5, what does success look like to you? And Danny, to your point, I just want to challenge you guys to think slightly differently, and some of you may do this. I've had clients come to me and say, okay, so I'd actually like to start taking every other Friday off. And sometimes that becomes every Friday, and that turns into a 3-day weekend. And that becomes, like Jay Kroll years ago, told me about this 6-week trip they did to Italy. Like, how do you build a practice that allows you to go to Italy for 6 weeks? You guys have that opportunity. The tools that we're getting right now, combined with the income potential with the mortgage industry, it doesn't always have to be about more and bigger and enormous numbers. You can steal. This is what Tony and I do. Todd, I'm giving you the keys behind the kingdom right now, or the keys to the kingdom of the way I approach coaching, is Tony and I steal retirement every month. I'll be coaching and speaking for the rest of my life. I will fall flat on my face on the stage because I steal retirement every single month. If that appeals to you, it's something you have an opportunity to do with the very tools that we're learning from Darren.
Bill, this is Cindy. It's huge. I mean, just taking my kids to Alaska, I could have bought a car, for what that trip cost.
No doubt. A nice one. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the memories from that trip were so extraordinary and over the moon that, I think about what's important, and a lot of, with my clients, we always kind of start with the end in mind. So let's look at the end of our life looking back. What do you want to remember? What do you want to have achieved? How do you want to be remembered in your life? And then begin making decisions around implementing things that can really take you to where you want to be. But what you were just talking about, and when I wrote down about how do I define success, my first bullet was when I began living my life by design and not by default. I mean, it's such a big deal. We've obviously talked about this on this whole segment around productivity, but at the end of the day, I really live that way now. My life is by design, and it's on my terms. And there was 4 bullets that I put under defining success. One was show up and play full out, which I'm committed to every single day. I don't play small. When I let fear take a back seat instead of sitting in the front seat with me. And when I really made a decision to show up and be present with those people in my life. And one of the things that I want to just give some shout outs to Michelle, because as her coach, I have never seen Michelle in the time that I've known her as happy as she is today. And I got to give you a lot of credit, Michelle, because you've actually worked this program and implemented the strategies, and you're seeing the benefits, which is so awesome. So when you really work a program, there is really huge benefit. So I just got to say congratulations. Nice work.
Here, here.
Always love hearing a success story. Absolutely. Well, and I think it's
Todd,
great. Go ahead.
Todd, can I just add something to what Cindy said, because I was watching all the Facebook posts that she was doing, and I was just going, oh, that's cool. Like that was really cool. That I could tell that it was a total family deal, and you were just totally. It was obvious you weren't doing any business, which is great, and so I'm hoping that's what was going on anyway. I just a story that I wanted to share is, so I live in Denver, big Bronco fan, and I was able to. I'm fortunate enough that the last 3, I've been in the mortgage business, the last 3 times the Broncos have played in the Super Bowl, I've been able to go. And fortunately or unfortunately, I went to the game in New York, so that was unfortunate. But when Seattle just beat the crap out of us. But we were having dinner with a couple, my wife and I were having dinner with a couple that we're really good friends with, who have just tons of success in their lives, and an overwhelming amount of money. I mean, they're set for life, right? And same age as us. And I was telling them that I'm going to the Super Bowl, and I bought tickets. I'm taking my daughter and my son with me. This is my older daughter, my daughter and my oldest son are going to go with me. And she's like, I can't believe you're going. How much are you paying for those tickets? And I said, I got them for $3,000 a piece. And we just got smoking deals on these great seats. And she goes, oh my God, I can't believe you're spending $9,000 to go to a Bronco game. And here's what I said to her, and this is really important. This is what we're all saying. So when I die, I am not going to lay on my deathbed and go, man, I'm sure glad I got an extra $9,000, right? Because it's not the $9,000. And we do that all the time. I have some unbelievable memories of being there with my kids. And when your team wins a Super Bowl and you love your team, it's pretty freaking cool. I'm getting kind of choked up thinking about it. But to be there with my kids and be able to do that, you're right. That's what this business does, Bill. You have that kind of opportunity in this business. You can create whatever it is you want to create. And there's no sense in creating it if you're not going to enjoy it. None. It's a waste of time. Don't do it.
Well played, Dave. I hope those words really just settle down over everybody on this call, because that ends Cindy's story. That's what you have an opportunity to do in this business. The choice is up to you, but you guys have choices. People that are your age right now in your city working at Walmart don't have. They buy lottery tickets.
Ouch. Ouch. Well, I did go see the Broncos play my Cardinals last night. It wasn't very pretty for you, Dave.
Yeah,
Sorry about that, but just preseason, I understand. Just preseason, I understand. So we're rolling into the last few minutes. So let me just kind of put a quick bow on today's discussion, and then I'll hand it off to Dave so he can kind of do a quick wrap up. So, those of you who are focusing on Module 4, and even those in Module 5, I would definitely continue down the path of the no multitasking challenge, right? You heard people here today who have attested to how it's impacted them, right? Who wouldn't want to have a couple hours a day where you have nothing to do and you're like, what's going on? And so Again, me personally, it's impacted those in my family around me because they've noticed that quickly, which was great. So I would definitely encourage that. And then you heard Cindy talk about her definition, which was the homework for Module 5 of what is success to you. Darren asked a few more questions that you'll see there in the homework. And so if you haven't done that already, definitely do that. I think we'll probably end up with a Facebook discussion around there. And I've really enjoyed seeing all those of you contributing to Facebook. So I love the fact that there's many of you, although we haven't heard from you here today who are on the call, but I've seen what you said and I've seen how it's impacted you on the Facebook page. And so keep interacting there. And then just I'm thrilled the fact that Dave is going to continue this on going forward. He hasn't necessarily invited me to be part of it, but something tells me that I'm going to invite myself if he chooses not to. But Module 6 is another great one. It's going to continue down that path of you looking forward in life and finding your beacon. And so these are all things that you've heard the people on the call today who are coaches or who are coached talking about how they've done this in their life, both personally and professionally, set out big goals to take big vacations, set out big goals to do huge production. And these are all things that, as you also heard, that really are in this package of Insane Productivity. I really truly believe that Darren has done a pretty amazing job of taking all of these concepts, not all new to us, but giving a different example, and then hopefully here on this call, we're putting some mortgage color over it as well to impact all of you guys. So take it away, Dave, and appreciate everyone being here and contributing today.
All right. So first of all, been a fantastic call. We are going to keep this going. Absolutely, Todd, you are invited to continue to facilitate this call with me. Folks, you will see a number of videos added to your Insane Productivity program as of Wednesday. So I'm so proud of what the Mortgage Coach community has done. Bill Hart, your videos are awesome. Wait till you guys see the videos that Todd Bookspan created. His passion for this project is so clear and so obvious. Cindy Ertman's created some great videos. Dave Gallegos has created some great videos. Jen Duplessis, who was unable to be with us today, she did have a death in the family and has to be at a funeral. So prayers to Jen and her family. But the amount of love and passion that's been put into this project is amazing. So you'll see those videos hit next week. I do want to remind folks, if you have not signed up for next week's call with Darren Hardy, make sure you sign up for it. Make sure you have your team go to it. It will be a very authentic interview. So all the questions that we have, we've literally come up with these questions over the past 2 weeks. So, the last call that Darren and I did together, was very much a structured conversation to kick off this product. This next call, we came into it saying, hey, we want to be very authentic to the mortgage industry, to Mortgage Coach, and all the questions are coming from, from our community. So if you missed it earlier, I did post a question asking for questions. Danny posted just a spectacular question. So Danny, thank you for that. Where is that? I'm trying to pull it up as I'm going through it. Well, Danny, thank you for the incredible question you posted. It will be asked during the call. Oh, here it is. I just found it. By the way, there's Danny's question. You may not be able to read it, and we are wrapping up this call. But please, let me know what questions you want to ask and share this with Darren, or share this with your team. So everybody, I am going to end the call on time. We will see you next week. If you could remind people that they're doing this program together, to attend these masterminds. I welcome you guys to communicate with each other outside of these sessions. So I don't know if anybody's noticed it, and I haven't used it yet, but there is a chat feature. So, you can see who all the members are. You can communicate with each other. My hope is that this project becomes something that you look back on years from now and go, wow, it really made change. I'm a better mortgage professional. I'm a better parent. I'm a better me. And you look back at this project, this 90 days, and you say, wow, that really made a difference for me. And I also hope that you make some new friends, that some of the people that are going through this experience together, you become lifelong friends with. And like in the case of my relationship with Todd Bookspan, I've known Todd for over a decade, but this project has brought us much closer, and I'm really grateful for that. And that goes for everybody else that I've been interacting with throughout the project. So with that said, everybody, have an awesome holiday weekend. You got 3 days ahead, no multitasking. Let's all take our presence with the people that we love and that we care about most, and let's be present. Let's have an awesome 3 days. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks, Dave. Bye.
Appreciate you. Bye.